I was here for 5 years. I'm at Edinburgh University. Three-time All-American. I got fourth, twice, and third. A lot of my wins in college came with bonus wins. About 75% of my wins were bonus points, and a lot of it came because of my top wrestling. I do a lot of tilts and cradles, and that's what we're going to do today. A lot of my riding. It's not only just turns, but it's consistently getting that wrist. And when the guys worried about that wrist, they're worried about they're not worried about getting out. They're just worried about not getting turned. So I think it's you guys start working at tilts and stuff like that now. Unless you're a legger, I would suggest get on top of tilts because I think they're pretty easy. And every time I get on top, it's like my relaxing time. I get to relax on top. So we're gonna start off with pretty much before the whistle blows. So when I get on top, okay, a lot of people when they get on, when a lot of people get on top, they just kind of throw themselves on like this, right? And they're not ready to go. So what I want to do is I want to get my chest up high, because I want to get the biggest damage or the biggest that I can before the whistle blows. I'm going to get my chest up high, get a little bit of weight on his hands. She has to tuck her head, right? And then her foot. We're going to get her foot set like we're about to do a sprint. Right? I see it all the time. Guys just throw themselves on this leg like straight up, and then the whistle blows, and then they have to get set. Right? You're not going to start a sprint standing straight up. So we're going to get that foot set, and then drive it that way. We're going to do a chop in the thigh pride. So everything in my body is going that way. My hips, my head, my arm. This hand, the thigh pride, that's the only thing that goes that way. Okay? So I'm going to, right off the whistle, chop in here, and I'm going to thigh pride. I'm going to straighten this arm out. I don't like to do the tight waist because sometimes when you go chop, or tight waist, you slide off to the side, and then this guy can hop over and catch you on your back there. Okay, so we don't want that. I feel pretty secure if I straighten that arm out and lock myself in right here. All right, throws that leg out right there, and I'm chopping all at the same time. But I feel locked in there, and I feel like I can keep my hips up, even if I don't break the guy down. Even if they have a real strong base, and I don't even move him if he stays up here. Like I stopped that first move. All right, he can't sit out. It's hard to sit out. If he does, he's going to get chopped right down. It's hard for him to come up because I have all my weight up here. Okay, so I don't think there's ever really a time where a guy has stood up right off the whistle because I got set right off the whistle. Before the whistle even started, I got my chest up high, got weight on him, and then I'm always anticipating that whistle. Okay, so I'm chopping here, thigh pride, here, driving my hips into him, okay, and I'm keeping my knee in his butt here. Right. Once I chop him, I have his arm. You see there? I have his arm tight to his side. Okay, if I break him down, all right, it doesn't matter where it's at, whether he's sitting, and I chopped him here. All right, I want to keep that arm underneath him. All right, same thing right off the whistle. I chopped him down, his arm's underneath him right now. I'm going to keep it there. All right, so I got my weight on top of him. All right, I'm covering his hips, and I'm squeezing his elbow into his side like this, because it's a lot easier to bring his wrist in when his elbow's in compared to when his hand's out. If I let him get his hand out, which a lot of people do, they let the guy belly down and get their hand out. You don't have to work to get this wrist back in and underneath him. Okay, so once I break him down, all right, I'm keeping my weight on top of him. Now I'm going to attack the wrist. Once I attack the wrist, every time we grab it, we're going to pull it tight to the hip. And this is really big. If I don't pull it tight, he's either going to, one, bring this elbow inside, all right, fight that off, or he'll come up underneath on the outside, and grab his own wrist and pry it off. Okay, so we don't want that. We want to keep his wrist. That's probably one of the hardest, or the hardest is getting the wrist. Once you get it, the second hardest part is keeping it. And then the easiest part is taking him over. Once you get that wrist and you can keep it tight, you should have no problem taking him over. Okay, so we're going to pull that tight to his hip. Once I pull it tight to his hip, I'm going to let him build his base. All right, I'm going to keep his elbow tight too. I'm not going to let him get his elbow out. If he gets that elbow out, see there's space in there, he can bring his elbow. Okay, we don't want any space. So sit up. Sit right there. All right, so I'm going to take this whole arm, this wrist is to his hip, and his elbow is tight to his belly. I'm going to make it a seatbelt with his own arm. Okay, and this prevents him from getting his wrist free. If I can get his wrist in and his elbow glued to his stomach, then we're good. We're not high. We're not pulling this wrist up, pulling it down to our hip. Okay, so when he's on his base, I want to make it even tighter. I'm going to take the shoulder and bring it around to this side. Just like that, it makes it a little like a tight waist with his own arm on his belly. Okay, and it also allows me to come out to the side. And when I come out to the side, now I can tuck my elbow and roll. Okay. my elbow's gonna go first. I'm gonna put my elbow pretty much underneath his junk. My head should be around underneath his belly button. Okay? We need to be underneath his hips because that's I took out this post, and then I'll be able to just roll him right through. Okay? When I do the roll, I'm gonna take my feet out, and it's another big thing. Make sure you guys pay attention to all these little details. Okay? Pulling the wrist to the hip, sucking his arm into his belly. Okay? I'm tucking my elbow deep between his legs. My head's gonna fall. My feet are gonna stay out here. It's gonna be really hard to roll someone through in a match if I leave my feet down here. I have no leverage. So my feet are gonna be out, my head's underneath them. And now I just pull that wrist and roll them right through. Once I roll them through, I can't just leave my feet in this spot right here. Because he's gonna land parallel with me. And if he lands parallel with me, his hips aren't gonna be in the basket. Okay, so when I roll them through, right at the last second, my hips gotta scoot underneath them. Okay, so I'm gonna go here to my back, and at the last second, my hips gotta catch him right here. And I call this right here the basket. You gotta catch his hips in the basket. Okay? To prevent him from rolling through, my first foot that hits the ground is the stopping foot. My knee's gonna go to the ceiling. This foot right here. Alright? That foot stops his hips from rolling through. Alright? The other thing that stops him from rolling through is this elbow. I gotta pinch this thigh. Okay? Putting my elbow between his legs, and I'm pinching this leg to me right here. Okay? So if I don't tuck that elbow, watch him kick this leg through. Just use your momentum. Alright? I'm trying to pull through, and I can't control his hip. Alright? If he tries to do the same thing, he can even go harder this time. If I put my elbow right in there, I'm controlling his hip. Right here. And this is what a lot of people have a problem with. They have a problem with keeping them on. Once they roll through, the guy just rolls right through, and they come back up on the base. But if I pinch my elbow to my knee, right here, trapping this leg, right? Then it's closed up, and his hips are turned up to the ceiling. He's peeing on the ceiling, and he can't turn his hips down. And then when I want him to belly down, then I just push this elbow, move my knee, and belly down. Okay. If he does roll through, some guys are really good with using that momentum and throwing their hips through. Let them belly down, let them nose base, and go right again. So one more time from the beginning. Break him down, in the butt, get his wrist. Pull it tight. Let him build his base. Pull that wrist tight to his head. Shoulder comes across, elbow goes between his legs, feet come out. Pull him through, catch his hips. Make sure his hips are facing the ceiling. And then once we get here, we're squeezing everything in tight. Squeezing this knee into me, pinching my elbow to my knee. And when I say elbow to the knee, some of you bigger guys, it might be harder to do that, but the smaller guys, when I say elbow to the knee, I just mean that the farther down my elbow can get down my leg, the tighter it's going to be. If I just do my elbow to my knee, his leg can move, right? But if I go here, I can't move that leg at all. And then we can work for pins. If you get it tight enough, you'll definitely be able to get some pins. I've had about 2 or 3 every year in college since I came here. And it's all just that move right there. You usually don't get tilts. But if you get it tight enough, this is one of the tilts that it's really tight, and the guy usually doesn't get off as long as you can keep that wrist. So make sure you get a good grip on his wrist. Bow, roll through. Let's go do it. 1, 2, 3.